Hello, I want to welcome you all to the Butterfly Effect. And this is Janet Philbin, and she is a psychotherapist, and I am so excited to have you on today. Um, Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about what you do.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. Thank you for having me on the summit. It's really a great honor. As you mentioned, I am a psychotherapist, but I actually wear a lot of hats. I'm trained as a clinical social worker and have been working in the field for just shy of 30 years. I've had my own practice for the last 20 years, and I'm also trained as a hypnotherapist, and recently became a certified parenting coach through Dr. Shafali's conscious parenting coaching method. So I'm very excited to add that to my little toolbox. And in addition to that, I'm also a certified energy healer. So when I work with my clients, they sort of get me with my whole bag of tricks. And
Yeah,
depending on what's going on, we decide what tools to use.
that's awesome. So I would love, what led you to this journey of getting connected to, I don't know, like, have you always been connected spiritually and kind of aware of energy, or what guided you to this path? I would love
Yeah.
to hear a little bit like about your story.
Okay, sure. I'm happy to share. No, I wasn't actually always connected to this path. I was very clinical. I went to NYU, which is a very, clinical, form-based, university. And there was no mention of spirituality or hypnotherapy or energy at the time. I mean, that was also in 1989. And so people really weren't talking about that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And I sort of fell into it backwards. I did a lot of work in the beginning of my career in death and dying. I worked with AIDS patients, and I worked in hospice and with geriatrics. And when you're working with people as they're dying, we have to begin to believe in something. For most people, they want to know something, they want to be comforted in some way. So that sort of just started opening a door for me. And then once I got into my private practice and got trained in hypnosis, which also was sort of like divine intervention, because I didn't look for a hypnosis training. This was not something I was seeking out. I got a random piece of mail to my office inviting me to this program to become certified in hypnosis, a place about 30 minutes from me that I never heard of. And they never heard of me. And they
Yeah.
had no idea how I got on their mailing list.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so this is a place I've done a lot of training with throughout my career now, since I did the
Yeah.
hypnotherapy training. And I did my energy training there. I'm trained in something called Anra. It's very similar to Reiki, but not. It's a co-creation of healing between the healer and the healee,
Yeah.
where we work with whatever energy is coming through us.
Mm-hmm.
So it all just sort of happened. Once I opened up to doing hypnosis and helping people heal at a cellular level by accessing the unconscious and the deeper mind,
Mm-hmm.
I just began opening up to feeling energy. I began to feel things. I began to notice things. And it was happening over and over and over again as I worked with my clients. And I
Yeah.
just couldn't ignore it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had to do more classes, take more training, learn something new. And that's just sort of what led me here.
Yeah.
And so here I sit. So every time an opportunity is presented to me, I say yes.
That's awesome.
I just say yes. Yeah.
That's one of the things that's came up for me lately, like just realizing that everything that's kind of in your life is right for you. And
Mm-hmm.
there's reasons that things are coming up for you, whether it's to learn through the situation and
Mm-hmm.
grow, or to enjoy the experience. Like, this is our experience, and there's reasons why people, places, and things get drawn into our life.
Absolutely.
So you were talking a little bit about healing through hypnosis on a cellular level. Did you want to
Mm-hmm.
share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I believe that all of our experiences we've ever had in our life, when they happen to us, we take them in and we store them somewhere in our physical body. You
Yeah.
know, we feel things and they get held. So then when something happens in your day-to-day life, all of a sudden, if you get butterflies in your stomach or a knot in your stomach or pain in your heart, maybe it's because of what's happening now, but more than likely it's because the event that's happening in the now is so similar to the emotions and feelings you had at another time that it's actually bringing it up.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do hypnosis, the way I do hypnosis, which is always for the purpose of healing, we're not just going in and digging for curiosity's sake. I will not do that. If someone wants to stop smoking or lose weight, but not uncover a deeper reason why this behavior began or the weight problem began in the first place, I won't work with them.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe there are band-aids in healing. We
Yeah.
have to go in and heal at the source. And when we do that, and when we work with the energy system, when we work with the chakras, we can get to the origin of the emotional wound, of the wounded inner child at the age that it happened much more easily and directly. And
Yeah.
then we can heal that younger self that's still holding on to the pain, and we release it from our emotional body, our physical body, our spiritual body, and we release it from the cells so it no longer has to hurt us and impact us in that same exact way.
Yeah.
Does that
I
make
think,
sense?
yeah, yeah. And I think it's, you know, I think for me, like my experience with people is not everybody understands that we store like the energies in our bodies like through the experiences that we go through, and they don't realize that the stuff comes up, like their body reacts to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, like, I really, we get to support people and kind of being guided to understanding this too through this healing process. There's so many people out there that are looking to to our modern day doctors who don't really they're not really trained to understand this stuff. So
Right.
I so appreciate the work that you do and the awareness that you have. And I'm sure it's probably because of some stuff that you've gone through and healed yourself. Is there anything that you feel like that you've overcame that's big for you that you would love to share that this work has helped you with?
Well, that's a really good question also. Um, I think many, if not all people, have had some degree of childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And I certainly had my share.
Mhm.
I don't think it's really important to go into the specific type of trauma,
Yeah.
only because that would qualify it. Well, this trauma is worse than that trauma. And I don't believe in that. Brene Brown calls it comparative suffering.
Uh-huh.
And that only hurts you
Yeah.
because one person's trauma isn't worse or less than another's. What happened to you is what happened to you. So I did go through my own childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And because of that, when I was in graduate school at 22 years old, I sought out a therapist for the first time because those memories started interfering with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been on a 30-year journey of
Yeah.
healing. And so that's what got me here. I was already going to be a social worker. I was already in social work school,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't understand I would have to go through my own journey of healing along the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's one thing that, I mean, this journey is never over. We're always getting more and more experience. We're
mm-hmm,
always going to be on this journey of healing.
mm-hmm.
I think, so you had mentioned a little bit about chakras, and not everybody really understands what chakras are or like how you may work with them. Would you care to share a little bit on that?
Sure, sure. I mean, I don't know if you can see in the background there, I have a little chakra flag
Yeah.
hanging. Um, so we have 7 chakras, main chakras in our body. The chakras are our energy system. In Chinese medicine, they're called qi. And ideally, we want them to be open and flowing and in alignment so they can communicate with one another. Each chakra has a color that's associated with the chakra. Colors have vibration and it's energy. So the colors with the chakras are not just randomly assigned. These are standard colors you're going to see anytime you see a chakra picture.
Yeah.
So ideally, when we're working with chakras, we want to know, as I said, that the energy is flowing and open in each chakra. So I'll just go through them quickly for people who don't know anything about chakras.
Uh-huh.
So going from bottom to top, the first chakra is called the root chakra. It's at the base of the spine, but it's really in between your body, front and back. And the chakras have cones. I like to describe them as kitchen funnels because, you know, they have the wide opening on the outside and then the narrow end. And the chakras run through our body, front to back, with the narrow part of the funnel in the middle and the wide opening on the outside. And the opening of the chakra sits about 2 inches in front of your body and in the back. So that's how we receive and give energy, through these chakras. And so the root has 3 funnels, one that also goes down to earth energy. So we have the root, which is at the spine, the spleen, or sometimes it's called sacral chakra, which is the second chakra. That's about 2 inches below your belly button. Then we have the solar plexus, which is in between the rib cage and the diaphragm in the upper abdomen. That's the third chakra. The fourth chakra is at your heart, and it's center, not left where the heart is. The fifth chakra is your throat, which is your expressor. Sixth is your brow, sometimes known as the third eye. People will talk about that. That's our seat of our intuition. And then the crown is about 2 inches above your head. And that's your connection to source, your belief system, if you believe in angels and guides, whatever it is. If no one believes in anything, and we have people, there are many people that don't believe in anything, I ask people to understand that this is their connection to the stars, because the stars are up there. We can see them. They've been studied, you know, and we cannot say they don't exist.
Yeah.
So, and stars have their own light energy also. So each chakra is associated and affects the physical organs in that area. Okay, so the second chakra, the spleen chakra, in a woman, that's where her reproductive organs are. So one of my areas of specialty is infertility.
Yeah.
So when I work with women who are working towards getting pregnant, we're doing a lot of energy release and emotional release from that chakra. And for women, we store a lot of our anxiety and fear in the second chakra.
Yeah.
And therefore, if the chakra is closed and the uterus, which is a muscle, is all tight, and the fallopian tubes, you know, get all tense and, you know, like this, it's going to be harder to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So we have to work energetically and emotionally to clear the chakras. This way they can communicate with one another and flow. Because ideally, we want them to flow in a clockwise manner. And when you're in someone's energy field, you can feel them, touch them. It's palpable.
Yeah.
They might feel hot, cold, thick, slow, sluggish. They can feel like they have a color. They can feel like they have a texture. So we really tune into that in order to heal at that area and heal cellularly in that area.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that you work with, you know, people with infertility. There's so many women that are struggling with that I mean, I know plenty of people. I mean, and I'm sure you do too. And a lot of people, a lot of women are actually scared to talk about it. And I think, you know, the more people, that's part of my mission with this, sharing vulnerability, because when we share these things authentically, the stuff that we're going through, it makes space for other people to also do the same. When, you know, a lot of people are extremely scared to be judged or just go through the emotions themselves, when really looking at that stuff, why it's happening to you, can support you so much on your journey of healing. So I'm so happy that you get to support women in that, because it's beautiful that you do that, to be able to support people out of that and understand that, there's other people are going through it, and also
Right.
that you can heal and you can change. We're not, just because we're one way, we have an ability to shift. We're not stuck.
Exactly. And the reason why you were asking me about my journey earlier, the reason why I wound up specializing in infertility is because I went through my own 4.5-year journey to become pregnant many years ago. And I now do have 3 children, but it was a journey. And if I wouldn't have gone through that, found a support group, found a really good therapist, I wouldn't have been guided to do the work.
Yeah.
And it was because of the work I was doing with my clients who were struggling with infertility that I wound up going into hypnosis when that letter came in the mail, because I thought, oh, this is a way to help them. So I've developed a whole system of hypnosis and energy work that I use when I work with my clients. And I can't tell them, oh, come do hypnosis and energy work with me and you will 100% get pregnant, any more than a doctor can say, come do IVF and you will 100% get pregnant. But what I can tell people is when they do work with me, they will get through their cycles with significantly lower stress levels and significantly improved ability to cope through the cycles, which tends to lead to higher rates of pregnancy, because stress does not cause infertility. However, it is impossible to go through fertility treatments without experiencing some degrees of stress. So we have to have ways to manage that. Healthy ways.
That's amazing. I think for me, I think we all I think a lot of people don't realize we get guided on our journey. Like, we have guidance, and like that letter coming for you, I definitely had a similar situation myself, where I got guided to a healing course, pranic healing. And I mean, it was through other connections that I had, but it was just, what exactly I needed in my life to lead me on this journey of healing and really fully starting to understand myself little by little. It's a journey, and we're growing on this journey, and it's just beautiful that you like, you get to recognize that, and you get to be on your journey. And I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I think there's something with emotions and the difference between emotions and feelings that I feel like you wanted to share something about that.
Sure. I think it's important for people to understand there is actually, emotions and feelings are 2 different things. And I don't think we realize that. So the way I like to explain it, and the way I believe it works, is that a feeling is called a feeling because it is something we actually experience in our body. We feel something. So if I take my fingernails and I poke really hard on the palm of my hand, I feel that, right? It hurts, it's pokey, it's sharp. It's like, why am I doing that to myself? This hurts, like, cut it out. I don't want to feel that anymore, this pokey, sharp, painful feeling. But that's all it is, really, right? It's just a feeling. So when I stop, it might take a minute, but the feeling's going to go away. My hand's not going to feel pokey anymore and hurt, because I'm doing that to myself. So when we feel things, we immediately label them. And that's when that becomes an emotion. So if we go back to feeling butterflies in our stomach, so something good or maybe bad happens in our life, and the feeling we experience is that butterfly in the stomach kind of feeling. I think most people know what that is.
I sure do.
And so based on what we are doing in the moment, when that butterfly feeling comes up, we are going to then immediately interpret it as excitement, as nerves, as nauseousness, as something. We immediately label it instead of just sitting with the feeling. If
Yeah.
it only takes 90 seconds for a feeling to pass through us, okay? So if that butterfly in the feeling stomach comes up, and you take a moment and are aware of it and just take a few breaths and breathe through it, the feeling literally rises up. It gets into all the neurotransmitters in your brain. Your brain does whatever it does with it. I cannot speak well enough on the science to explain what happens with
Yeah.
the neurotransmitters and synapses, but trust me, it flows through there. There's been research on it if anyone wants to look it up. And then it flushes out of you physiologically, and it's gone.
Yeah.
The feeling leaves in 60 to 90 seconds if you don't attach anything to it. However, if you get that butterfly feeling in your stomach and immediately, without conscious thought, we all do this, myself included, we go, oh no, I'm nervous now. This
Yeah.
situation is making me so nervous. I'm a nervous wreck. I have so much anxiety. Oh great, now my heart is racing. I'm sweating. My vision is blurry. I'm dissociating. What's happening? We're stuck in emotions.
Yeah.
All of these labels we give a physical feeling are the emotions, and all emotions have a story attached to it. So the same 60 to 90 seconds it can take for this feeling to pass up, through, and out, it is instantaneous. If you don't catch it, that feeling becomes an emotion that turns into a story and brings you into the future. And now I'm an anxious mess.
Yeah.
And that's the emotion, the anxiety, the fear, the blame, the shame. Okay. All of the big ones, right? Those are all the big
Yeah.
ones. And then we have, maybe some lesser ones that aren't as potent, but we have labeled a feeling, and that's when it turns into an emotion. And it's so important to know the difference, because when you feel something in your body, just I could give a little trick and tip to your listeners here.
Yeah.
If you feel something in your body come up, and I'm going to stick with the butterflies in the stomach because everyone knows what that feels like, I think.
Yeah.
And that feeling comes up, I ask my clients and the people I work with to take what I call a purposeful pause, and to stop for a moment and take 2 or 3 deep breaths and just acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling a feeling in my stomach. That's all it is. It feels like butterflies. It feels wiggly. It feels wavy. It feels a little uncomfortable.
Do you have
And
do you
go
have a
ahead.
certain breathing technique that you would like to share with people that really has supported you?
The best way, I feel,
Yeah.
is for people to take abdominal breaths. So you take a nice deep breath into your abdomen. You can even place your hand on your abdomen, push your stomach out, and feel your hand rise up. And as you exhale, your stomach falls. This is the natural way we breathe.
Yeah.
Babies breathe like this. If you've ever watched a child breathe, a big little baby breathe, when they inhale, their stomach rises up. When they exhale, their stomach falls. When you do this kind of breathing, it actually has a physiological effect to reoxygenate your blood. And when you reoxygenate your blood, your nervous system calms down. So if you feel that feeling in your stomach and you take this purposeful pause by taking 3, 4 abdominal breaths and just let it pass, it's not going to turn into an emotion and a story and then take you out into no man's land of worry, anxiety, fear,
Yeah.
and get us all, fachatted for the rest of the day, the week, the month,
Yeah.
until we reset ourselves, until someone calls their therapist or whatever it is. We have the power within us to do our own healing.
Yeah.
Every single one of us has that ability.
Yeah.
Just by tuning in, just by being aware. And that's why the chakras are important.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to stay with the stomach. If that butterfly feeling comes up in my stomach, and I know that that's my spleen chakra, And in the spleen chakra, I know that's where the wounded child lives. That's where our inner child lives. That's where all our unresolved issues from childhood reside.
Yeah.
I can then talk to myself and say, okay, Janet, what's coming up right now? Why would I get butterflies in my stomach right now? What is it in me that needs attention, that needs compassion, that needs healing, that needs some love? And I can begin to do some self-talk,
Yeah.
talk myself off my own ledge. So when I teach my clients about all of this, how to connect all of these pieces between their intuition, their physical body, their energetic body, understanding feelings and emotions, you know, not just sitting in anger, which is way at the top, right on the surface. We got to go under,
Yeah.
deeper, deeper. And that's sometimes scary for people.
Yeah.
But I also know without doing that, we don't heal. Otherwise, we just heal at the surface.
For sure.
It doesn't do much.
I think my experience with myself is like, there's a lot of times where I thought I had like done the work, and I was like, no, the work is like, when you actually do it, it can be challenging, and your ego necessarily might not want to do it. So, I mean, if you are going through like some emotions and challenging times, you know, like you're facing the hard stuff, and that is where you'll be able to like have your breakthrough and release stuff that's no longer serving you.
Exactly.
And it's really, this journey not always easy and simple, but it really can serve us in such a beautiful way by allowing us more space to be more us, who we are at our core.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you might want to share?
It's a really good question. I think when it comes to healing, and, you know, you're talking about this journey we're on.
Yeah.
I have a theory that I like to call the spiral of healing. And it's a theory that when we heal going up, and we go up in a spiral.
Yeah.
And we may have to touch something we've already touched as we travel up the spiral, but the next time we touch it, as you were just saying, it's not as potent, it's not as powerful, it's not as painful, and we can look at it with more wisdom and greater awareness and say, oh, okay, you know, I already touched that once, but it's coming up again. So what is the other aspect I need to touch? So maybe it's not going to wreck us this time and bring us to our knees, because we've dealt with maybe a lot of the emotional pain and trauma around it.
Yeah.
But what do I have to do to work through it now that I'm on a different level of this spiral?
Yeah.
And the spiral is all about feeling things, about loving the self, about healing from those aspects, and then about allowing yourself to have room to grow.
Yeah.
And so we travel up it. But unfortunately, I think we're always traveling it.
Yeah.
I think we're always healing. Like, it's been 30 years over here.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a lot of deep work. I've been in some really painful places in my deeper mind. And going there, living through it is one thing. Going back and touching it again, I don't want to touch it the same way over and over again. So if I heal it at a certain level, even if I have to look at it again, I know from personal experience, it's not as painful.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at a different aspect. I'm healing a different aspect, maybe of the same event or of a similar event.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Another way I think that it's been explained to me, and the way things have came up for me, is like, sometimes we've literally gone through years of like trauma and events, and we store it all in our body, and it doesn't all get healed all at once. Like it's in layers.
Exactly.
So I think it's kind of like a similar kind of idea, as like, you might heal part of the stuff and then have to heal more of the stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah. I was wondering if there's any moments for you that you had any shifts like in your life that were massive shifts, like doing this work, because I love to take people back to those moments where they feel the feelings of actually having like the release of some trauma, or just some moments where they realize like this is my mission in life, like this is where I get to share my heart and my purpose. Just any beautiful moments for you that you would like to share with our audience?
Actually, I think that really happened and solidified for me about 3 to 4 years ago. Um, as I mentioned before, I recently finished Dr. Shafali Sabari's conscious parenting coaching program.
Yeah.
I had never heard of her prior to 3 years ago. She had already been on the scene, got introduced to her book, The Awaken Family.
Mm-hmm.
And the first sentence in that book is, you awaken when you, oh God, now I'm going to mess it up. But
It's okay, we're human.
I had it, and then I went to say it, it was gone. But essentially, you awaken when you are ready to heal. It's along those lines. And I read that very first sentence, and I thought, this lady gets me.
Yeah.
And I get this. And I read that book, and when I finished that book, I said, the way I do transformational hypnosis and inner child healing, because that's really my wheelhouse, that's really what I'm passionate about, is helping people do that inner child healing.
Yeah.
And conscious parenting and the deconstruction of what's happened in our life has to fit together. And now that I have completed the training with her, I have found a way to fit it together by taking what we know consciously and using that to go into the unconscious and heal with the body and chakra knowledge at a cellular level.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a really big aha moment. And through this work and through this journey of the last 3 to 4 years, that's the work I've even done more deeply with myself, whether I've just in my own process through journaling and my own meditation practice, or if I've had to call upon someone to work with me because it was just something I needed that outside assistance with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so important that you're sharing about the conscious parenting, because I mean that's where it all starts, right?
It does.
Like we're shaped, from like 0 to 8 years old. I mean, we go through other experiences too, but we're really shaped when we're younger. And I mean, if we could support parents and really understanding a little bit more about themselves and the way that they can, parents, just to support their kids, to allow them to be more self-expressive, to be who they are, just to be loved as they are.
Yeah.
It's that there's just so much value in that. We get so caught up in this world just because of the way the world is functioning.
Yeah.
And it's like that high stress, like not really understanding who you are, but really, for me, like living that life of circumstances throughout my life because of the way I perceived things, being myself, being highly sensitive and not ever knowing it. Like it was a challenge. So
how did that affect you?
Oh,
that
man.
challenge of being highly sensitive and not really understanding that.
So I think I shut down, and I ended up getting to 355 pounds because I was it was a way of protecting myself in a sense. And it was something that was soothing and I can turn to. I didn't really have a lot of connections that I felt fully connected with. Now that I'm on this journey, I really get to experience connection. Like, it's amazing and beautiful, and that's part of my mission. I want people to experience this. So it's just really been a journey of understanding myself and why I went through what I went through, and just really just not even knowing who I was my whole life until, a few years ago, being on my journey of really starting to shed the layers and just start understanding who I am and not being defined by my past.
Right. Because the journey of consciousness is for everyone, not just for, we say conscious parenting, but it's really a conscious relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
is really what it is. We've all had parents. So therefore, everyone gets to go on the journey.
Yeah, for sure.
And just like you're saying, when you hold stuff in the body, that's where the block was, wherever that was for you.
Mhm.
So like if we were working together and you were telling me, oh, God, Jenny, I just really feel this heaviness in my chest right now. I would ask you to close your eyes and tune into that. And we would begin to explore it from there and to see what was underneath it, what caused it,
Yeah.
and what aspects of self needed to heal.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's one thing, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm ready to heal some stuff, and like, it doesn't always come up. Where our journey is like, the things come up as they're needed to heal.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, it's been absolutely amazing chatting with you. And is there anything else that you would like to share? I'm like, everything that you're sharing is so valuable, and I love, like, even just feeling your heart speak, because I get to feel it. Like that sensitivity that I have, I get to feel when people speak their truth and
Yeah.
their heart. So it's been amazing connecting with you. But I'm like, is there any more value you want to share with with
There-
who we're connected with?
Yeah. I mean, I think that everyone needs to value themselves enough to know that you are worthy to heal. You're worthy of self-love. You're worthy of self-compassion, that you're valuable and important, and not to be afraid to reach out for help.
Yeah.
Making that first phone call is really the hardest part.
Yeah.
When you find the right healer, the right therapist, whomever you choose to work with, you're going to know it.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people to allow that for themselves, to allow yourself to go there, because whatever you lived through in your life, you already survived. So going back and looking at it in a safe way with a good healer, therapist,
Yeah.
whatever, make sure they're good. But going back and looking at it is not going to be worse than what you already survived. And I think that people think it will be. They say, I don't want to relive it. I don't want to go through that again. But you're not going through it again. We have to look at it in order to heal it. We have to remember, but not relive it.
Yeah.
I don't have people relive anything with me. You're afraid of a bridge? Okay, let's go on the bridge. And now you're on the
Yeah.
bridge. Let's do that. That's called revivification. I don't recommend it. I don't believe in it. I think it's re-traumatizing.
Yeah.
When I work with people, it is very safe. We go to a very safe place, whatever that might be for my client, whether it's a beach, whether it's a room in their house, the top of a mountain, wherever it might be. And from there we work. And from there we look as if we're watching a movie. And you get to control the scene in front of you, just like you were holding a remote control. And you
Yeah.
get to stop the action, fast forward, play, pause, whatever you want to do. But you're not reliving it. We're healing it. We're rescuing that younger self, whether it's a younger self who's 5 years old or a younger self from last week who was maybe just in a car accident. We're getting them out of there and letting them know they survived. And look at where you are now.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just so important for people to know.
Yeah.
It's not going to be worse than what you already survived. You already lived it. Now let's heal from it so you can live the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're letting the trauma of the past direct and inform our present. And that's what
Exactly.
leads to all sorts of problems in our lives, problems in relationships, addictions of all kind, work, anything, you name it. It
Yep.
shows up because we're not dealing with the stuff.
Yeah. I think another key to that is really what you said about actually present, like being
Mm-hmm.
present and knowing that like the past really is the past. Like it doesn't even exist anymore, but we carry that stuff into our present until we actually release the energetic stuff that we're storing in our body from it.
Exactly.
we're so caught up living in the future and in the past that
Yeah.
it's so hard to be present sometimes. And I mean, ultimately, I understand it because
Yes.
I'm human and it happens.
Right.
But
We all do.
there's the keys to, you know, doing the work, working through it, and also just the ways of being that we can really learn to presence ourselves through our life so we can actually enjoy being a creator.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, in this moment, like this present moment I'm sharing with you,
Yeah.
there is no anxiety. I know I can look at your energy field and I can see you have no anxiety. I'm sure you can see that and feel that in me. There is no anxiety in this present moment. Anxiety only comes when our thoughts go to the future and we worry about what's going to happen because we want to control everything, right?
Yeah.
So we get stuck in the past of what was, and we're bemoaning and regretting, and we're still letting that affect us in the now.
Yeah.
But if people learn to take that purposeful pause, that nice deep abdominal breath, okay, let me come back to this moment, in this moment right now, at whatever time it is, whatever day of the week, is it night out,
Yeah.
daytime out, wherever you're sitting, give a cup of tea, water. There's no anxiety right now in this moment. And then we move to the next moment and the next. And we can stay balanced and present in each and every moment.
Yeah.
So important.
Life is so much more beautiful when you are able to be present. That's
Yes,
for sure.
and that's why it's so important to notice the feelings when they come up, because it's the feelings which we immediately move up into emotion and into our story that take us in a split second out of the present moment.
Yeah. That
Gone.
judgment.
Judgments, projections,
Yeah.
all of it. All of it. All of it.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing, and I know we have like shared some valuable stuff with people and really just enjoyed actually being able to be present with you and connect with you. That's where like the real connection happens, when we are able to share and be present with each other, and I love it. It's like amazing. Just going from the past, how I was living, to now being able to connect with you in this way. It's just what I want everybody to experience. So I think you said you have a free gift that you would like to offer.
Yes, I do. There is a link for a free meditation that I made especially for this summit.
Uh-huh.
I called it the Butterfly Effect Meditation.
That's awesome.
Just for you. And so it's a 15-minute guided visualization for people to reconnect with themselves, be present, and be in their heart space. And it will be there for everybody. I'm assuming you'll put the link.
Yeah, we'll put the link in there. Yes, and I so appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I know it's just going to be so valuable for people.
Yeah.
So definitely, this woman definitely has a beautiful, strong presence, and I've got to experience it. And I hope that everybody who gets to view this call gets to experience her heart and gets to learn from this connection and this journey that we are all taking. So thank you so much again, Janet, for your time. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart.
And thank you for having me. And if people want to find me, they can always go to my website at hypnosisforhope.com.
Yes.
Or you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. And also, I do have a book that I wrote, which will be coming out in April. So if you sign up for the free gift, you'll get added to my mailing list, and you won't miss any updates on that as well.
Yes,
so,
and I heard her speak I heard her speak a little bit about her book, and it's definitely, there's just so much value in sharing our stuff so people can learn from it. That we get to share so people can really learn from us. So thank you for even writing that book, because that is going to support so many people on their journey. I just know it.
I hope so.
Yes, I know it. It's so hard sometimes doing new things for ourselves, but I just can't wait to see you actually be able to release that book, and just the ways that it's going to impact people's lives. I know it will.
Thank you. Thank you, Carissa. It's really been exciting doing this with you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. So thank you all for watching. And Janet, have an amazing day. And I
You
wish
too.
all of our viewers an amazing day as well.